It's always wise in politics not to get overconfident. In 1981, the SDP Liberal Alliance was enjoying a sugar rush in the polls, peaking at around 50%. And this wasn't built on solid organisational strength, but on voter exhaustion, with Labour's hard left lurch and Tory austerity under Margaret Thatcher. Steele mistook this emotion for permanence, this volatility for votes. And Margaret Thatcher's approval ratings surged post the Falklands victory, obliterating the alliance's momentum. And the Iron Lady suddenly looked invincible. The electorate returned her to number 10. And there was the safe binary again of Labour versus Conservatives. The alliance was just that, an alliance, not a party. The Liberals and the SDP couldn't even agree on candidate selection, never mind party coherence. And that's really the warning. And we find ourselves yet again at that intersection of political theatre and political delusion, where the swagger of Nigel Farage threatens to outpace the substance of his programme. And we have to remember, go back to your constituencies and prepare for government. As May the 1st approaches, the Reform UK leader cuts a confident figure, too confident. With opinion polls placing his party ahead of the Conservatives, Farage speaks openly of winning council seats, sending another MP to Parliament, and even, brace yourselves, entering Downing Street. 35 to 45% chance, he says. One wonders what the odds would be if he had to run a policy department rather than a TikTok account. Farage is treating the local elections as a national plebiscite, as a referendum on himself. His tour of 5 drinking establishments in one day, more than some candidates visit in a year, sends a clear signal. This is not about potholes or bin collections. It's about a referendum on Westminster, on the blob, on wokeism, net zero, and all the usual pantomime villains. Or, of course, it's simply a tribute to the power of drinking. Yet this is also where the performance becomes perilous. His campaign is saturated with confidence, but it's worth asking whether this is strategy or hubris. Yes, he rallies the crowds. Yes, his sound bites dominate social media. But as we learned from UKIP and the Brexit Party, Farage's success in mobilising fury is not the same as building a governing alternative. And Farage has always been leading the charge of failure. Even the apparent rigour, 3,000 freedom of information requests, credit checks on candidates, is undermined by the fundamental truth. This remains a party defined more by one man's grievances than a comprehensive plan for government. And Farage may have rebranded himself yet again from Brexit firebrand to cultural crusader, and now the self-styled saviour of working Britain. But this People's Army is still a one-man band. There's no shadow cabinet of substance, no field-tested bench of policymakers, only Nigel, the Ray-Bans, the Bulldog, the Mike. His rejection of a pact with Robert Jenrick and the Conservatives is not surprising. I don't trust these people, he says. I'm not shallow, he says. But trust cuts both ways. Can voters trust Farage, whose embrace of unionism sits awkwardly with his Thatcherite disdain for workers' protections? Can they trust a man who once lionised Vladimir Putin, even as he now delicately sidesteps questions about war crimes? Farage has cast his eyes on climate scepticism as the next big wedge. He rails against net zero targets, calling them lunacy, and dreams aloud that this could become the next Brexit. But the data tells a different story. The public, even in his heartlands, broadly support investment in green energy. What he's offering is not leadership, but regression. Back to fossil fuels, back to conspiracy, back to zero-sum future, a view of the future. And the irony is delicious. A man who once led a campaign for sovereignty now parrots lines that resonate more in online echo chambers driven by US far-right conspiracies and concerns of Clacton-on-Sea. Farage's strength is not in detail, but in drama, yet history reminds us insurgents burn bright, but often burn out. Ask the referendum party, ask UKIP, ask the Brexit party. The pattern is clear. Farage builds pressure, he wins visibility, he fails to embed infrastructure, he stumbles at the last hurdle. The local elections may deliver victories, but they will also reveal the limitations of Reform UK. Reform candidates complain of abuse, low female engagement, policy attacks, particularly over Farage's flirtations with NHS privatisation. Labour's weaponisation of fake medical bills may be crude, but it's cutting through. And even his followers whisper about how long the party can rely on one man and few slogans. Like Trump, Farage is more interested in being the message than delivering one. Nigel Farage believes the country is broken, and in many ways he's not wrong. But his confidence borders on delusion. Winning a few hundred council seats doesn't translate into a mandate for Downing Street. May the 1st may indeed be a moment of council reckoning, but it will not crown a new Prime Minister. It will rather test whether a party founded on protest can become a vehicle for progress, or whether, like its predecessors, Reform UK will fade as the spotlight moves on. And when that moment comes, perhaps Mr Farage will return to what he does best: making noise, throwing darts, puffing on a cigarette behind a pub, dreaming of a power that he will never quite grasp behind the bar, pulling pints.